Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Kellen Time, and we got something fun. I've been waiting for this one for a couple weeks. I talked about it on last week's episode, so if you guys aren't subscribed, I'd love for you to go subscribe and go check out my other videos. But talked about this one coming in, pre-ordered it maybe a month ago. Just got in. It's the new Autodromo Group B version 2 with the integrated bracelet. Super excited about it. We'll get into it. But first, what am I drinking? This is Reuben's Holiday Gose. I thought it's essentially like a sour with cranberry. Pretty good. Reuben's is a local brewery here in Seattle. Probably one of the better microbrews. If you ever get out of Seattle, you definitely got to check out Reuben's. There in Ballard, pretty close to my house. So check them out. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So I'll talk a little bit about Autodromo. They're kind of automotive-inspired watches, and I would say for automotive-inspired watches, they're one of the best automotive-inspired watches. You know, a lot of times you get some of these automotive brands, and the watches don't look great. They're trying too hard to be car specific or gauges or whatever it is, and they forget that they're a watch. I think Autodromo does a great job of being a watch first and taking inspiration from cars. So they got little tissue paper with the Group B or Autodromo logo, and then you kind of get some fun stickers here. So the Group B is inspired by, if you don't know what Group B is, Group B was an old rally circuit back in the mid 80s, and it was pretty damn crazy. Big turbos, small light cars, all-wheel drive, and fans could stand basically on the track. So lots of craziness, lots of power, lots of learning that they were doing on the go, and it was probably one of the more exciting rallies that you could watch. Lots of accidents and injuries, so they don't do it anymore. But so many great cars came from the Group B era, and that's kind of what this draws its inspiration from. So you can see the outer box here. Little hint to it. I got the Night Stage 2 dial, which I believe was a limited edition, and now that the pre-order's over, the Night Stage is no longer available. It's sold out. Bradley from Autodromo mentioned he might do some more. So if you really like this style like I did, you'll see here in a second, he might be doing more here in the future. So keep that in mind. So what do you got here? A little Group B booklet. Let's see, kind of translucent, kind of cool. And then some great photography of some of those old rally cars. A little introduction about what Group B is. They designed up a little livery here on this. Looks like a Lancia. And then instructions about the movement. One thing I'll call out, there's that phantom. So this is a date movement, but it's a non-date dial. So you've got that phantom position 2 click, which doesn't do anything. So you got to pull it all the way out to position 3 to set the time. Position 1 as your manual one, and I'll kind of show you that in a second. The integrated bracelet on this was the big thing. So the Group B came out a while ago, and it had fixed spring bars, and so you could do a single pass nylon with it. And this version now has an integrated bracelet that you'll see. So this talks about resizing the bracelet, warranty information, and then it talks about how to attach a strap. So the other cool thing about the integrated bracelet is, and I'll show you, it's got drilled lugs. So you can pop off the bracelet, pop the spring bars in, and do a NATO, do a single pass, do a leather. You could do all sorts of things, whatever you wanted. Makes it really, really versatile. So it comes in this little metal tin, and it's got chassis number, which I believe is like a serial number for the watch, and then that's probably the model number. Kind of cool. It's like almost like an old ammunition tin. And then you open it up, and bam, you got your watch. Pretty minimal packaging. It comes with a little cover on the face, on the crystal, and then on the bracelet. All right, so there it is, guys. Check that out. If you're a kid of the 80s, I mean, does it get any better than that? I mean, this thing just screams 80s to me, and I absolutely love it. Like, once I first saw these images on Instagram of this dial, I was just, I gotta have this watch. I gotta have it. I've always been interested in the Group Bs. I'm a bracelet guy usually I'm a bracelet guy, right? So that was the only thing about Group Bs is like, I'll do NATOs every now and then, but I always love a watch to have a bracelet. And if it has a bracelet, that's great. And I can take it off and do, a NATO when I want. But 80% of the time, my watches are on bracelets. So once he announced he was doing a bracelet and then this dial combination, there was no question in my mind I was getting the watch. It is so good to me. It is so good. It's so unique. It's fun. It's got such great character to it. And as you can see, the bracelet and the case are almost like a shot peen or not brushed, blasted finish. So it's this really dark kind of charcoal color. That's also something I don't have in any of my watches right now. Really like it. So you can see the dial. It's got Autodromo up at 12, and then Group B down at 6, automatic, and that's really it. In the chapter ring, you've got some numbers you can see at your minute markers, and then it's just a simple 3-hander. Your second hand kind of hits with that neon red. Your minute hand is that big baton hand, and then your hour hand is that kind of smaller one off to the left, obviously. I've been wearing it for a couple days now, and I will say on quick glances, it might take some getting used to because you see the back half of the minute hand, and sometimes I think that's the hour hand because the hour hand can kind of sometimes I don't want to say get lost in this dial, but the minute hand just jumps out at you first, obviously, because it's all color, right? So if that makes sense. But other than that, the dial to me is just, he absolutely killed it. It's so good. Crystal is kind of faceted or beveled, if you will, and it rises up above. This is a sandwich style, so I believe, someone can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it's sandwiched around this piece, right? And so these two outer pieces, I believe, are titanium, and then this center piece, I believe, is stainless steel. And then it's a stainless steel bracelet. So not fully titanium, but it's definitely got some titanium to it. Makes the watch lighter. It's 39.5 on the width. And actually what I've been wanting to do is measure the lug to lug, because the lug to lug is long, because you can see how tall these lugs are. And on top of that, with this integrated bracelet, it extends the lugs another, let's see, it extends the lugs about another 2.5 mil past the end of the original lug. So your lug to lug, if you just ran a NATO or a single pass, would be shorter than if you ran the bracelet. So this is gonna be a long lug to lug for a 39 mil watch, I guarantee it. Let's see if I can get this on camera and measure it. So you have to go from the edge of end link 1 to the edge of end link 1. Yeah, I'm getting almost 53.8. You can see that there. And it goes from end link 1. See if I can do this a better way. Yeah, in link, well, I guess it's a little bit shorter than that. Yeah, it's right at 53. So taller watch, right? It's not a big watch, but it's definitely tall from here to here, if that makes sense. So it's definitely going to affect the wearability of this watch. It's not everything. Its presence on your wrist is smaller because of the color and the 39 and a half ish. Let's see it says 39 and a half. I'm curious what. I really don't want to scratch this finish, so yeah, I'm getting a 39.3. So just over 39. So yeah, let's look at the bracelet. It starts at, that's probably what, 20 mil. Because it's a 20 mil pass through spring bar, but it's 23 on the outside of those. And then it tapers all the way down to, I'm assuming this is an 18 at the buckle. Yeah, 18. So you can see where it just dives down. 1, 2, 3. It does all its tapering in essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 links, and then it's 18 all the way through. Pretty cool, right? And so you can see this bracelet really well. Articulation doesn't fully well, you can see it's got pretty good. So you're going to get some great wear from that as it just kind of forms around your wrist. And then it's kind of that hidden butterfly style clasp, which is double push. Bam. And then you just click it back. So like I said, I've been wearing this for a couple days. I love the watch. This is a definite keeper for me. It's not going anywhere. You can see it's signed upside down. Signed right there, Autodromo. Very minimal. The one thing about the bracelet that I dislike, and I don't have very many butterfly depliant style clasps, so this may be something that I'm just not used to. If I'm wearing it, right, and I got it on, and I really go to, maybe I go grab something, it just pops right off. And maybe that's something I can adjust the tension on that clasp. It's not going to do it now, but if you just, you know what I mean? So it's kind of nice because it's super smooth, but at the same time, if you're being a little active with it, it will do that, which I don't love. And looking at it, it does look like it has some set screws there. So perhaps I can adjust the tension of these so these aren't so fluid and easy to press down that it wouldn't do that on me. I'll have to research that again. This is actually my first ever butterfly style. So maybe that's just a common thing with that style and I'm just not used to it because I'm used to the dive watches that have the fold over security clasp, and those things just aren't coming off, period. So yeah. So you've got a Miyota movement in there, manual wind. You can see it hacks, so you pull it all the way out. You can set your time. Second hand stops. Push it back in. There she goes. And then obviously in the it's not a screw down crown. It's 100 meter water resistant, so you know you can splash it and everything. It'll be totally fine. In this position, in the push down position, this is where you can manually wind it. And for me, it's such a petite crown, signed Autodromo crown, and it's kind of I think what is that? Octagon or whatever. but it's such a minimal crown, and maybe it's just because I have big hands. It's hard for me to grab onto that to get it to turn. So I almost have to, instead of using my fingers to spin it, I almost have to grab it and just rotate my wrist. And maybe that's just because I'm big and clumsy. And it makes for a nice small crown, which is nice. And so it's not digging into your wrist, but just something that I've noticed when I go and grab it in the morning and I put it on and I go to give it, 10 winds or something like that, just to give it some juice. Obviously it's still running, but I always like to just give it a couple turns. It's just harder for me to grab, but really thin. There is some markings on the case back, the Autodromo logo in the middle. And to be honest, I haven't even tried to read. It's such fine engraving around the outside. I'm sure it's, water resistant up to this and tells you about the movement or whatever it is, the specification. So just like every other watch in the world, they tell you about it on the case back. So yeah, those are kind of like my biggest things, guys. Just in review, absolutely am infatuated with the dial. So fun, so unique, so Autodromo. It's unmistakable. Their watch. It's stepped. If you can see that, the center is raised from the outer track. Another cool feature. It's got this disc, this black disc right in the center that hovers over the stack for the hands, so it kind of hides that stack, which is kind of a cool feature. So it kind of, when it's here, it's just like, it's like when it hits it right, it's like all of those hands are just kind of floating, which is really fun. I love the finish, which is great. I'm kind of excited to let this wear in, and it's going to get some of its own patina on it. I'm excited about that. I had been looking at those Porsche design. Well, I think they have Lamania automatic chronograph movements in them, and kind of iconic. And they had that black version, that black PVD, and I just love how that wore in and around all the edges. That black PVD would wear off, and it just looked great. And it's just kind of another. I was like, I'm a big car guy, so an automotive watch was kind of appealing to me. But I was just trying to find the right one, and that was kind of up there. And then this came out, and at the price, I believe it was $875 on pre-order. I think it's $975 after pre-order. Obviously, you can't get this version anymore, but they make a white dial, or a black with white indices, and then a black with orange indices that you can get now for, I think it's $975. So go check those out. Super cool designs. Bracelet's great. It's super comfortable. I'll put it on wrist. You guys can see how it wears. Only thing I dislike about the bracelet I talked about is the clasp. I like how it's hidden, and it's, it's super smooth, and you can just see how fun that is. And then, yeah, isn't that such a cool watch? It fits. I talked about that lug to lug being a little bit longer. That doesn't bother me. The watch is small enough where that lug to lug, it still wears really well for me. I have bigger wrists, so that 53 isn't even going to come close to being too wide for my wrist, but you can just see it there. Sits pretty low on the wrist. It's nice and slim. Just look at that. Fun watch. Really, really enjoy it. Let me know what questions you have. It just came in. It's going to be on the wrist for probably the holiday season. As I can't stop looking at it. It's really cool. It's not without its faults. They're pretty minor, in my opinion. They're not something that would make me dislike the watch. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what questions you have. Great watch, and I really love what Autodromo's doing. Unique in their own vision, in their own way. And like I said, it's an automotive watch that doesn't look like it's trying too hard to be a car watch, right? If that makes sense. Right on, guys. Check out my other videos. Keep them coming. Hope you like it. That's all I got. Later.